Ever climbed a mountain, ever caught a fish, ever looked to the stars and made a wish, ever shot a bow and arrow in the dead of night, ever read a map, ever flew a kite, ever made a fire, ever sang a song, ever tried to run a marathon, ever put yourself to the test. Do your best. Do your best.
That was very professional in a way. We just kind of got it right.
Right on.
Yeah, I like that little bit of a Spanish flair you had.
What, I just went, yeah, I fucked it up though. I was going to go, like, and then I was like,
That's great.
Yeah.
I felt that Spanish flair kind of matched the fluttering of my heartburn right now as well.
Oh, nice.
For context, I've just eaten essentially an entire pizza.
An entire pizza and...
liter of Pepsi.
Yeah, sponsored by Domino's.
Sponsored by Domino's today.
Yeah, cheeseburger pizzas.
Cheeseburger pizza, yeah.
Yeah, and you had Chinese yesterday.
And I had a whole Chinese. Yeah, I don't think I had like 2 days worth of Chinese as well.
Oh, 2 days worth in one day.
Yeah, I had some for breakfast this morning as well. I had some Chinese for breakfast.
Hot?
No, cold. An whole plate full of cold Chinese. What did I have for breakfast? Oh yeah, then I made myself a sausage, black pudding, and cheese and egg bap.
Okay.
And I undercooked.
What kind of bap?
Well, it was just like a brown bap. It wasn't a nice brioche bun.
A brown bap.
It was just a brown bap.
What, a whole meal?
Yeah.
Who's buying whole meal baps? That's
That's
crazy.
I immediately regretted it when I bought it. I was like, why didn't I just get brioche?
Yeah.
But anyway, and I felt pretty shit after eating that as well. And also I undercooked the egg. Okay, so I had this plan, right?
Oh, I can't stand undercooked eggs.
I had this plan that every time I make an egg, I always fuck it up.
Right.
It's always set too high because I'm cooking all the other things and I add the egg last.
Yeah.
And it fizzles up like it's about to explode and it's all burnt and it's not right.
I don't mind that though, a crispy egg, but yeah.
So what I did instead was I took it off the heat, the complete pan.
Yeah.
And I pulled it out, then put the egg into where it's basically not cooking anymore, but it's just got the hot pan. And I was like,
yeah,
that's how you cook it.
That's how you do it.
Like it was a hot pavement and I just cracked an egg onto it. Kind of
yeah.
It didn't work. It wasn't really properly cooking.
Do you flip it?
I didn't flip it. I just thought that looked alright. I carved it and I put it onto the thing, but it was just clear. There was
no, man! I don't want to hear. I don't want to say you're just like eating that goober.
I pretty much ate it. Yeah, I just did.
That's okay. It. Some people like it like that.
I did not like it like that.
Some people like snotty eggs.
It was pretty wretched, really. I put it in foil.
I honestly can't stand that at all.
I put it in foil. Made a bit.
What like?
And I put that back on the thing.
And that still didn't cook it.
Yeah, probably cooked it a bit more than what it was before. It was a.
You need to flip those eggs.
Yeah,
flip
for sure.
Just for like a second. You know,
yeah,
just
flip
a second.
The yolk was already broken. I was getting very confused.
Oh man. I mean, this is just traumatic.
So as a chef, this is like
no, I'm not.
So much sacrilege. Well,
but it's just everyone hates a broken yolk, don't they?
Yeah.
But here we are.
It's a great achievement for me when I've just cooked anything.
Yeah,
myself.
That's
I'm like, maybe now I'm going up. Like maybe life's still working out, and then I'm like, can't cook a fucking egg.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. What was I going to say? Yeah, so I had that, and then for lunch I had. This is fucking tedious conversation.
Wild, but I want to know what you had for lunch now. I want to
know. For lunch I had minestrone soup from a tin.
Okay.
With some buttered bread.
Was it brown bread?
It was brown bread.
Fucking hell, what's going on? Are you like, if I eat brown bread, I'm going to be alright. I'm going to be alright.
I'm going to be okay.
See, that's bullshit. Like, I hope you know that's bullshit. Brown bread is not going to save you.
No.
It's not. It's not.
Probably nothing will at this point.
Well, brown bread's not going to save any of us.
No.
I just want everyone to know that like eating some brown bread. You've got no moral high ground because of that.
Also, isn't it just Cockney rhyming slang for dead anyway?
There's something in that, dude. Yeah, there's something in that. That's the occult of bakery.
What was I going to say though? Yeah,
the occult of bakery.
I did change my heart a little bit about minestrone though. I always hated that soup.
Yeah, has it got tiny little zeros in it?
It's It's like
is that the minestrone?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
maybe. Is it like minestrone?
It's a mini little strony.
Yeah, it's like a tiny strony.
I'd hate to see the big strony. It's just fat,
just huge, sort of like girthy spaghetti rings that you can wear.
But yeah, it wasn't too bad. But once again, it was one of those things where I refuse to just eat something as it is. So I have to add like a bunch of salt, pepper. I over peppered the shit out of it till it was just like.
Oh man, I think it's a good idea to take a tinned soup and add salt.
Try to.
So it's probably got loads of salt in it, but you can't taste it.
You can't taste it.
But I bet if you read the back, it's like more salt than a teaspoon.
Yeah, it always does. Yeah, it's like one of your 5 a day, and it's like don't eat that much salt.
One of your 5 salts a day. You need to make sure to have 5 salts every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 5 different. I mean, I only know of 2 salts. Actually, you could have your Himalayan, your table.
Yeah.
Your monosodium glutamate.
True.
Yeah.
We've got 3 there. Yeah.
Table salt is different to like sea salt.
Sea salt. There we go. Yeah.
And then there's different formats.
Yeah,
flaked,
what's the other?
Rocked.
Last one's just Veruca salt.
Yeah, exactly. A big dose of Veruca salt.
Exactly.
Yeah. But make sure you get your 5 salts a day. And your brown breads.
And your brown bread. Yeah, I've been eating pretty bad.
Okay, so yeah, you ate. That's quite a lot to eat, and then like eight
a whole pizza,
yeah.
half a litre of, a whole litre of Coke probably.
Yeah.
Pepsi rather.
Yeah, make sure brand is right.
Yeah.
Pepsi will go mental if you they'd go crazy at us. They'd be like, why the fuck?
Here's some more banal factoid for you as well.
About your lunch.
Well, actually, it's about Coca-Cola this time. So I was just reading earlier, right, that there's a reason why McDonald's Coke tastes different to bottled.
Oh, I want to know.
Apparently, the reason is that the syrup and whatever the soda itself is shipped from 2 different locations to each store, so they come from like separate spaces.
Yeah.
And then the syrup is allowed time in which for the ice to melt with it or something.
Right.
So they like allocate time when it's being like mixed in the machine. It's allocated a certain amount of time for the ice to melt within the syrup.
So it's like watered down.
Basically, yeah, but it's a kind of fresh.
Somehow it's nicer.
Apparently, like Coca-Cola give very specific instructions. They're like, you can't fuck it up.
Coca-Cola tastes better. Well, again, that's a weird one because I suppose it does taste better from McDonald's in a way.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not
fresh.
It could be the vessel in which you drink from. There's something fun about them.
Yeah, for sure. But also, what you're guaranteed to have as an experience at McDonald's, like many of the other things you can order there, that it's uniform wherever you are in the world. You know, that classic Andy Warhol thing, everyone gets a can of Coke and it's the same whether you're a rich man or a poor man. That's not actually true, because if you have like a hot Coke on a hot summer's day, it tastes like shit.
Yeah, but a hot can of Coke for anyone, rich or poor,
is also bad. True.
It is like...
But what I'm trying to say is, that's a good point.
Yeah, you'd probably feel better though if you could just buy...
Yeah, well, the thing is, but if you go to McDonald's, it's going to be this icy cold.
Yeah, man, and I mean, you know, Coca-Cola from a pub, that's always was nicer when I was younger.
It is nicer, yeah.
That I think is nostalgia for me. Just like there was kind of nothing better.
I have nostalgia about Virgin Cola.
Dude, I've got a story about this.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the in the adverts there were animated girls squirting it out of backpacks
on roller skates.
Yeah.
And it was animated by the Gorillaz guy. Right?
Yeah. It's like they're good animations, aren't they?
Yeah.
I remember that shit. Yeah. They were really. And then there was like a BBC Radio 1, maybe it was like a road show, and it came to Cornwall. It must have come to Cornwall because there's no way I left Cornwall at this point. I was don't know how old I was. Probably too old to be enjoying this much. But I wasn't so young. I was a child, but I wasn't old enough that I was drinking.
Right.
I might not have even been.
The beautiful in between.
Anything. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, and like the not so yawning void, and like. We went to this show and there was like no one playing there. There was a guy called Justin. He was playing. He's some pop star. I think that's about it. Maybe Jerry Halliwell. But that's just like could be total. Wow. That could be like total fabrication in my mind. Like I'd have to look it up one point. Anyway, there were girls there, real life in rollerblades with these Virgin Cola backpacks giving out free Coke. So we were like, me and my mate were just like blown away because not only did we get free Coke, we got to hang around with girls in roller skates. You know, we must have been about 11 or.
What's great is that sounds
we like kept like bugging them for like more Coca-Cola.
Cokes,
yeah, and then we were like fucking high off the Virgin Cola.
You're buzzing,
and it was good, but it never took off.
No. It's also interesting to me that that seems so on brand for Virgin as well. Because obviously, like whenever you look at like their adverts for aeroplanes or whatever, they've got like like the hostesses and stuff. It's all very
Yeah.
kind of old timey, kind of seductive. You know,
Old Branson.
hostess. Yeah, and he's like he's been like an old man since he was like 20.
Yeah, for sure.
He's like one of those guys.
For sure.
And it's like the idea he's like, get some girls on roller skates, and then they got the.
He's like, people will love it.
And he's right.
Well, 11-year-old boys did.
Yeah, yeah.
But that
exactly,
maybe
yeah.
might have been the market.
Yeah, that's the demographic. Yeah. Do you remember when Coca-Cola also they tried to do an advert with Jack White at one stage, really early on? I think it was actually like a White Stripes thing. But immediately, I can't remember what it was. I think it was an original song, but then they were like, there was some sort of Nazi connotations to it. At least they were accused, so they pulled the advert immediately. I think it only aired once.
Oh, well, we should try and find that.
We should try to find that.
Jack White, Coca-Cola, Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that is some illicit content.
Have you been reading the news recently?
Nah, not really, man. I mean, I did read that some bears took over like a swan pedalo.
No way.
Yeah, like.
Are you talking about large gay gentlemen, or do you mean do you mean the hairy grizzlies?
I mean the animals.
The animals.
Again, I'm going to redefine.
Yeah.
I mean the non-human animal, the bear.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Brown bears, I think they were, and they like just saw these huge swan pedalos. There's like these beautiful pictures of this lake with a big swan pedalo.
Wow.
And like 3 or 4 bears come over wondering what's going on, and they fucking get in there.
They get in it. Wow. It doesn't go. I take it doesn't like drift out.
The mind wanders.
It does. Yeah.
The mind wanders for sure, but I don't know.
That's definitely the nicest story about bears I've heard recently. All the other ones have been very scary. Lots of bear attacks going on.
Bears are attacking people.
They're attacking people. Yeah, they've been having a lot of problems in Eastern Europe with bears.
Oh.
Yeah, very spooky times. Speaking of animals, a little bit of news from America, from the US of A. A man has said that he was hit in the head by a rock thrown by Bigfoot on his property. That he could hear what he thought was like a lumberjack soaring down on one of his trees. So he went for a little walk, started videoing, being like, I'm going to catch the man who's cutting down one of my trees on my property, and immediately sees Bigfoot, who then chucks a rock at his face. He passes out, the camera sort of falls down, and he's like released the video, which is like shows absolutely nothing.
The real life Sam Scratch.
Yeah, the sound
Nice.
scratch. Yeah,
Sassy,
exactly.
dude.
Yeah.
He's back in town.
There's some wild.
I'm so glad to hear he's back. I haven't heard anything from him for ages.
Have you heard that theory that that Bigfoot is like Predator? That he has like camouflage. That he's got like a active camo fur, so that's why we never see him.
Oh, nice.
So he can be camouflaged to any like environment. And I think people have shown videos online where it's like, like
There
the
he
trees
is.
start to move, and it's like
He's just like hanging out in people's garden, just like pretending to be a bird bath.
Yeah. There were some pretty frightening stories I remember reading in one. I think it was in like Arthur C. Clarke's one of his books about mysterious.
Do you want one of these?
I'm cool. I'm good with the matter. But yeah, it's one of those books.
What's the matter with you?
But yeah, it was one of those books. He was talking about just general like sightings of Bigfoot and like these kind of type like Yetis and stuff like that. And I think the on the China-Russia border, some soldiers in like World War One or something. I'm very fucking terrible at memorising the shit. But they saw like a family of like Neanderthal type beings.
Cool.
That were like fucking with their horses. They were like they were spooking their horses at night.
I sort of remember this story.
And they chased them down, and they were like this kind of family of like hairy people or whatever. I always think that there's something about that stuff.
Well, it's just a family of hairy people.
Exactly,
and they were just a family of hairy
They were just a couple
people.
of bears on a pedalo.
Just fucking enjoying themselves.
But yeah, something about that story. Sometimes when you hear weird stories, but there's some kind of aspect or detail to it that makes it just seem real. The idea of them like screwing around with their horses or something, like bothering the horses.
Somehow that makes you like this.
I'm like, that sounds 100%.
No one
real.
made that up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's not possible.
Also, if you were going to make up, but if you were going to make up a story about Yetis or whatever, it wouldn't be like, they were really bothering our horses.
Oh, but you would if you wanted it to be real.
Maybe. You think
So
it's
right
clever
now,
Russians.
what would you say to someone if you wanted someone to believe that you had, if you had seen some aliens? What would you say to someone if you wanted them to believe it?
I certainly wouldn't say they beat me up and they did weird experiments on me.
But you've got to go somewhere in between. You can't say what I was
drinking some mate in the garden.
They're like, false. You never go in gardens. Anyone who knows you, Bob, knows you never go in a garden.
Yeah. Okay. So in an arcade.
Yeah.
In Paynton. I was in Paynton drinking a takeaway mate in the local arcade on the slot machines. An alien came up to me and asked if he could borrow 27 pence. I only had 26.
Yeah.
He declined all of it.
Yeah. Makes it sound immediately real because the currency is involved.
That's too low. You've got to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's funny because Whitley Strieber.
He wanted a bite of your Starburst.
Yeah, Whitley Strieber, who was the guy who like popularised what we know as the grey, the classic grey.
Yeah.
And also he really popularised the classic abduction as well, like being probed.
Yeah.
That he was like the first guy to come out and say that it happened to him.
He's coming out with that.
He was. But he said not that long ago. He said he was in a bookshop, like doing a signing for one of his books. Nobody was there, and the aliens just straight up just walked in the middle of the day. And he said they looked ridiculous. They had like little, almost like like little what do you call them? Like detective-y coats. What are they called? Like little trench coats on. With full on with their like big hats, but you could see that they were the aliens. And he was like, "What are you guys doing here?"
This is so good. Is that too believable?
Well, he said he was like he couldn't believe it because he was like, why are they doing this in broad daylight? And he was like, they found it really funny, and they knew that like nobody would believe me. It's like a bit like Bill Murray, like taking a bite of your burger or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, he says that. I don't know. That makes me disbelieve everything he's ever said.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
See, that's too. He's gone too
far.
blasé.
Too blasé. Yeah.
You've got to find the sweet medium where it's so blasé. It's blasé enough. Like they were messing around with my horses. Like I came back and they were fixing my motorbike.
That's the Bigfoot story we all deserve. I feel.
Yeah.
Zen and the art of Bigfoot motorcycle maintenance.
That's nice. I'd read that.
But I'm trying to think if I remember any other Bigfoot stories. There's a story that Frank Sinatra travelled to a Himalayan monastery and stole a Yeti scalp from a cabinet that they were apparently like worshipping the Yeti scalp because they thought it was this holy ornament.
Yeah.
And he took it away in a briefcase and then nobody knows what sort of happened to it next. I've no idea why. I don't know why he would want to steal a Yeti. Maybe there was like a gangster who felt that it had like special power or significance to him. He had to obtain it. And he's like,
yeah.
It's like, Frank, you gotta go on a mission. You gotta go to the Himalayas.
Yeah, he was on the job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I need this scalp.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who does know? But Frank knows. Frank Sinatra knows. What else do you think? I mean, Frank Sinatra's done a lot, hasn't he? Including.
Was he actually a gangster?
Yeti scalp.
Yeah, the Yeti scalp. Yeah. Was he actually a real gangster, or did he just hang around with gangsters?
What do you think? I mean, don't you think he's like that guy out of Goodfellas that's clearly a gangster?
Yeah.
He's not really a gangster. He's like going out with one of the sisters of a gangster.
Yeah.
Like,
he kind of wants
you're
to.
a good kid, Frankie.
And he's also probably. He knows that he's got that power that if he wanted, he probably could have someone killed. But he doesn't actually do it because he's not actually a gangster.
And he might not actually have that power, but he feels like he does.
Yeah, it's basically like having a gun but never shooting it.
Yeah.
But you just know it's there.
I feel like sort of it's the kind of thing where they probably got him through a few doors, right? And then when he was big, they were like, you owe us all the time forever.
That's also interesting.
Which I think has happened to the Libertines.
Do you think? Yeah.
I think that's what's going on with them now.
Yeah,
I think that's why they're back together.
They're in crazy debt, yeah.
To like...
Dodgy characters.
Someone, yeah. It's just like...
Spider Eyes.
It's Spider Eyes. Doherty got into some crazy, like, fictional madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could easily imagine that. Yeah. I mean, I wonder also if, like, maybe Sinatra wasn't really that famous at all, but then as soon as people clocked that he might have been related to gangsters, all of a sudden all the music people were like, no, you're great, Sinatra, shouldn't get in, like, don't fuck with that guy, he's gonna fuck.
It's one of those life imitating art things, isn't it, with Sinatra? Because, like, even if he wasn't a gangster, gangsters clearly felt like he was one of them because he was singing their life.
But also, did he play gangsters in films as well?
Yeah, so they were like, they wanted to be like...
That really is an art imitating life thing, if they saw him in a movie.
And then they're like, I want to be like that.
Yeah, that must be...
And like, his music definitely is for, like, Italian-American gangsters.
Yeah, for sure.
They're going to listen to that and be like... Frankie baby.
Clearly, also, it's for sort of lonely kind of housewives as well. I mean, otherwise, Bublé wouldn't have a career, right? That's what basically Bublé's career. I always feel really bad saying bad things about him. I think he's actually a really nice guy. I think he's had a really hard life as well. I don't know. I read some dark things. I think he's had a hard time, but I hate his music, hate his voice, hate the whole thing.
As much as he does.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he hates it, doesn't he? You can tell that about him. He's like, he just wishes he wasn't
really what he wants to be doing, like Japanese funk metal.
Yeah.
He wants to cut loose.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know why we're talking about Bublé now. Fuck that conversation.
Well, it's just it goes from Frank straight to Bublé.
It does. In other news, Gary the Gorilla is back.
Who's Gary the Gorilla?
So, how do you pronounce the place in Scotland? Is it Fife or Fife?
Fife.
Fife. Thank you very much.
Fife.
Fife.
Yeah.
I smell the blood of an Englishman.
Yeah.
I said mon.
You did. Yeah. You did that just Jamaican at the end.
That was the whole reason to say this bit about Gary the Gorilla, really, just for that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So Gary the Gorilla from Fife. Is that how you said it? Yeah. He was the mascot of a well-loved mascot of a garden centre. For 10 years, Gary the Gorilla would greet people as they came in the door. He was it's worth saying that he wasn't a live gorilla. He was a static fiberglass giant gorilla.
Of course, okay.
But at various points, he was sometimes dressed up like Father Christmas.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially during the pandemic.
Nice. They dressed him up, yeah.
Yeah, he would have a big mask, a face mask during the pandemic, in solidarity with people trying not to get coronavirus. And one day, some thieves came to Fife, and they kidnapped Gary, and he's actually been missing for like years. And they thought they'd actually found Gary last year, but it turned out to actually be one of Gary's relatives, made by the same company. He was strapped to the back of a truck that was moving down the motorway. And yeah, it was like stopped by police, but it wasn't actually Gary.
Right.
They literally just found him. This is fresh off the press. Today, it was 2 hours ago that this article was posted. They found him in a lay-by.
Well, someone's like given him up.
Yeah, they've given him up, yeah.
Someone's like wife or mother has been like, right, get rid of the fucking gorilla.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. This is also because it wasn't that long ago that in Canada somebody stole a gigantic taxidermy polar bear. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah, I think we were talking about it.
Did we talk about it on the podcast?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, somebody waited for one of the night security guys outside a hotel to clock off or not be outside at a certain time. Broke into one of the big it's like a ski lodge, one of those like big what they call like those like log cabin-y type ones, but with a giant proper
like
polar bear. Yeah, like the one in
Ace Ventura.
Yeah, or
When Nature Calls.
Yeah, or what we were watching, Roadhouse, like the Roadhouse polar bear.
Okay.
And yeah, they somehow managed to smuggle the whole polar bear out of the resort. It's just gone.
That's impossible.
I was thinking the way if I was going to do that, I would cut it up. I'd saw up the polar bear and then try to reattach it. Yeah.
Maybe they had a truck.
Or what I would do is I would just saw off the head, because then you could mount the head separately and just sell that for quite a lot, and then you wouldn't have to move the rest of the body.
I guess so. But the whole thing's gone.
The whole thing is gone.
Yeah.
You
Gary isn't taxidermy, is he?
No, he's not. No, that would be cool, but no.
He's
just a fiberglass gorilla. I'm sure they'll be very pleased to have him back, though.
There's one around here somewhere, like a huge gorilla.
Is there?
On
No
a
way.
little road. Have you seen it?
No way. Maybe this one of Gary's cousins.
It could be.
Yeah. Part of the
Could be.
Gary
It's
clan.
massive.
Really, yeah, I think this one's pretty big as well.
Yeah.
But this also isn't the first time that I've heard of like a mascot being stolen as well. There's a cod in Massachusetts, in America, New England, called the Holy Cod of Massachusetts, and it's very important, I think, as an emblem of like fishing there, because fishing is like really big, New England. And it's like housed in a particular museum. That's been stolen like 10 or 15 times. It's up really high. I think it keeps getting higher every time it's stolen, so trying to stop people. And I think it's like a fraternity thing. Like fraternities will compete to see who could steal.
Yeah, I mean, that's like pretty. That's something you'd see in like movies all the time or something, isn't it? Like movies or shows where like they're all battling, stealing each other's football team's mascot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, definitely that.
I don't know. Do we have that the same over here in England? Do we have the same like mascot thing going on? Do we do that?
I don't know if we do. We definitely have like
There's
mascots
houses.
for.
We do houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have frats, but we do have houses at school. Like, what were you in a house? No, you didn't go to secondary school.
No.
Were you in a house at all in primary school?
No.
I think this is why the Harry Potter thing like translates to everyone, because
of
like
course.
I was in Lavender House.
All right.
Lander. I was in
Lander.
Lander House, and Lander is some Cornish guy. I should know who it is.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
Important figure.
Must be. It's one of the houses. You know, it was like him, Trevithick. You know, they were like, and they were different colours. But I think if you talk to anyone from England, they'd be like, I was in the yellow team or something.
But what happened then? Did you actually meet up with your house brethren and like at any point?
It would be like throughout. This was primary school, not secondary school, I think. And like throughout like the year, like if you did something, if you were doing well in school, they might be like, oh, this is it. Almost exactly, actually.
You would actually get points.
That's exactly what would happen. Very much like the Harry Potter shows. So it would be like, oh, you did really well on that test. 3 points to Lander. You know?
Wow!
And then like the
Lander boys would
you'd
be
have
like,
you'd have like an assembly, and they'd be like, oh, this week Trevithick's at 62 points, Lander they're on 64. And I think, oh, get on.
Wow.
You know.
That
So
makes,
it's actually almost exactly like that's obvious.
in my primary school, we did have a point system, but it was totally solo.
Right.
I may have told this story at some point in the history of the podcast, but you had to, once you got 10 stars, there was a very particular prize that you got, which was that you got to have a ride on Majesty. Majesty was the most fucking haunted looking rocking horse I've ever seen in my life. And I remember when I got to 10 stars, I couldn't believe it. And even the looks on the eyes of the other children, they were shocked as well. Because within living history, I had never seen anybody
On Majesty.
who had got the star or on Majesty. And they just walked me out of class. They were like, off you go, come on. And they walked me out. And I remember walking down the hallway being like, fucking hell, what's going on here?
Yeah,
And they
nice.
took me over to Majesty, the spooky shit. It's one of those rocking horses that's got its like teeth bared, and it's got like those eyes that look kind of almost real. They're like these glassy,
Gummy.
yeah, and it's like probably actual horsehair. That's you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I imagine it being massive, but obviously I was like quite a small child. It probably wasn't that massive, but anyway, it was right outside the headmistress's office, and they just put me on the rocking horse, pushed it a bit, and they went, "I'll be back in 5 minutes." Went away, and I was just alone on this empty hallway on the rock. And I remember thinking, this is horrible. Like 10 stars for this shit.
What school did
It's
you go
like
to?
it's
man?
like a
Fucking
punishment
hell.
for doing well.
Oh my god! A ride on Majesty.
Yeah, and eventually, the teacher came out of the head teacher's office. And we're like, you want another fight? And I was like, get me off.
You're like, get me off.
Get me off.
Get me
Yeah.
off this horse.
And I remember thinking, never succeed again. You know, like, never do well. Because you know what's going to fucking happen.
Another ride on Majesty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully somebody one day like just fucking chop. Oh Christ alive! It's on Majesty.
Yeah,
come-
Majesty
come
could
back.
come
We just rides through into the podcast studio. But just popping a cap in my ass for chatting shit about the horse. But yeah, I was just gonna say, hopefully somebody's taken revenge on that horse. Has like chopped it up and like.
Yeah, but it's been smashed to fucking smithereens somewhere, man. Or it's like creepily covered in cobwebs in like someone's nan's attic.
Yeah, probably more realistic. Or it's like on an Antiques
That
Roadshow.
head mistress has probably passed away by now.
Oh yeah, true.
Is she old?
I can't really remember. I think she was old. They always seem old.
Her
though.
daughter or something like that will have the horse.
You know what I think?
Because it was clearly hers.
Yeah, well, I was wondering that, or what it is that that's always been there in the school.
Majesty runs the fucking school.
Oh, yeah.
Majesty hires and fires.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like a Goosebumps
It
episode.
does. It was a really
It's a
good
fucking
one.
good one.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. But readable. But what was I going to say? What if that rocking horse was when that headmistress grew up in that school? She used to ride that rocking horse when she was a kid. She was like, "What a delightful memory."
Yeah.
So
She
that's
has
like
she's these memories of just hysterically laughing whilst on Majesty, and everybody else can't go on Majesty, and she's like, "You can't come on Majesty." She's just rocking her,
Yeah,
just
actually-
like pulling the horsehair.
Yeah, that's kind of it's sort of it reminds you of the merry-go-round, doesn't it? But except that a merry-go-round is actually fun because it's physically moving.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of, although it is actually somewhat demented when you think about it.
They're all gummy.
Yeah, they're all gummy, and also you've got that there's that weird little pipe
They are
band.
nice.
But you know that that kind
Yeah.
of crazy music. It's very unique just to that
School,
kind of
man.
ride as well.
Where was that school?
That was in Chichester,
Yeah.
land of the free, home
Yeah.
of the brave,
And Majesty.
and Majesty. Yeah.
The tragedy of Majesty.
Yeah, that definitely would be one of those haunted objects in like what's those fucking Conjuring movies where you go into like their little
Yeah, it's like,
to their back room and they've got the haunted doll here and the fucking that would go.
yeah, bloody right.
Do you ever hear about that doll that it's another American ghost story, but it was like a lonely boy who had no friends, and his like parents bought him a life-sized sort of child doll to play with, and apparently it would move around at night and they'd hear like little footsteps and stuff. And I think now it's in a museum in America behind glass, and you're not allowed to take pictures.
People
of
are just fucking terrified.
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah, classic. I think that's where I was talking about the Enfield haunting at some point recently. Do you know about the Enfield haunting?
Enfield in the UK.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah, you've been there. Nice place? Good pubs?
Nah, man.
No?
Oh, nah, I must say. I bet there is, but I wasn't there like extensively.
No.
Just some, it was a bit boring. Do you remember that band, Dive Bella Dive?
Oh, yeah, they were good, weren't they?
Yeah, they were alright. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were cool people, I know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They lived there and had like an ambulance that they like drove round in leather jackets, you know.
Wow, that is kind of cool.
Well,
Got a lot of space in the back.
it was a certain time. It was about 2011 or something.
Had they painted like weird stuff on this?
Yeah.
Painted a swastika on the side.
Yeah. It was like a punk ambulance.
That'd be fucked
I'm
up.
sure
though,
he'd
so-
like synthesised the fucking horn, so it's like, boop, 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 boop. You know, it's like,
That'd be fucked up though if someone was like really ill and they're like, I need an ambulance.
yeah.
The
And
band's
punks,
just
they're like,
shows up.
"Yeah." They're like, fuck you, dude. They're like, loser. They're like, fucking jokes on you. What happened in the Enfield hauntings?
Oh, and it was just one of those classic sort of I think either 1970s, 1980s kind of like real big, heavily publicised ghost stories in the UK where these two girls were claiming to be like kind of possessed and attacked by objects. And one of them, there's a classic painting that was like in the Sun or like the Daily Mail where it looks like the girl's levitating off the bed, but she's clearly just jumping. And they've just staged the image. I think the whole thing was like kind of an elaborate hoax. I mean, there are some really spooky recordings of one of the girls when she's supposed to be possessed. She's like, "Oh, my name's Kev" or whatever, but it sounds scarier than that. She's like,
That's
"Oh,
so
Kev."
that's not scary at all. That's really funny.
But yeah, and it is kind of scary. She's like, "I died under the stairs," and this kind of stuff. But I remember as a kid, I was.
This sounds like a beaten up sort of like Ross Kemp or something. What's his brother called? Phil Mitchell.
Phil, yeah.
Sounds like a
actually,
beaten
Phil.
up Phil Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly. Uncle Phil, yeah. And was it Uncle Phil? Yeah, but anyway, I think it was a hoax, but it's one of these classic ones. I don't know what made me think about that. Just talking about ghosts.
Guess we were talking about ghosts. Do you believe in ghosts?
I believe, generally, I feel like I'm a kind of superstitious person, but
That's what you're going to say. I feel like I'm a ghost.
basically sometimes I feel like a ghost.
Yeah.
No, but in the sense, but I've always assumed that there are paranormal things going on, whether we're talking about aliens, ghosts, Sasquatch, all of this kind of stuff. But it's just completely not what we think it is. It doesn't neatly fit into the category of being an undead person or whatever.
I agree. And that kind of I think like if you can like infrared and like all these different types of like the way of seeing whatever the
Ultraviolet.
world, all these different
Yeah.
we're quite aware, aren't we, that there's like a shit ton of light or ways to look at the world and matter, and we can only
we only see like a narrow
we see a
band.
specific way, don't we? Yeah, we see like a narrow band of it. So I think it would be silly to think that by looking through different sort of lenses or making the bandwidth bigger, you could see things that we might assume, like with our little narrow band, we might just be seeing other bits of like stuff that's just generally there anyway. So it's not necessarily might feel and seem supernatural, but it's like, you know, eventually with more knowledge, you'd be like, oh, that's not actually supernatural. They're just that's there too.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And,
also,
and again, I don't mean just dead bodies or like dead people's souls.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
like,
I was also
just
talking.
something.
I was also telling you the other day about how I was walking over beside the deli, and I thought, what is that old woman doing staring in that window? And then the closer and closer I got to the old woman, I realised it was just a pile of cardboard boxes stacked on top of one another. And I was like, how the fuck is my brain so convincingly shown to me that was an old woman when actually it was just these boxes?
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot, well, probably says a lot about how fucked up my brain is, but also generally how, you know, our brain is looking for patterns all the time. If we see something that we can't understand, we receive that in our mind as, oh, that looked like a human being, or that looked like something else. But it's probably our brain seeking that pattern, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether or not we saw something or not. But even if we did, you know what I mean? It's trying to make it fit with what we know.
We're always looking to find patterns. Like, it's just
exactly.
the way that we make things make sense in such an insanely unnerving and chaotic fucking world.
Yeah, but also, like, if there were, you know, a lot of people speaking about aliens again, you know, a lot of people describe aliens as looking pretty similar to human beings. 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes.
Yeah.
Why would that be the case? That was used to piss me off about Star Trek when I was a kid as well. Whenever they go to a different planet, you're like, oh, they go to this cool planet, and they just looks like a human being, but he's blue or something. And I'll be like, why would that be the case? Yeah. And I think they actually do explain it at some point in Star Trek as being like, well, there's, you know, like how like a bubble is like the perfect form or everything. Or something.
Yeah, sure.
It's like naturally evolution just will give you
Yeah.
2 eyes and a head and arms or whatever.
Yeah, that's...
But I don't think that. I think that's completely shit. What's not shit though is everything is turning into a crab though, isn't it? And we've probably talked about that before.
Yeah. Everything is eventually
turning into a crab.
Yeah.
And there are things that look like crabs that aren't crabs, but we think they are because it's already doing that.
Yeah.
It's actually turned into.
So that's the best way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Crab is the best form.
Yeah. I was reading something earlier today that was basically saying don't boil lobsters.
Why? Because it's harsh for them.
Apparently it's really horrible. Yeah, it's like the most grotesque pain, and they're like pretty intelligent. And like, apparently, I think that their nervous system keeps going on even after like they've been boiled as well. So they're really going.
So it's just pain. It's just pure pain. It's just like it's just like if you want. Yeah, that sounds horrible.
It's grizzly. And apparently they mate for life, and they were like, it literally said they. I don't know if this is probably a vegan exaggeration here, but it was saying they walk like claw in claw on the
They might.
with their loved one. It was saying, and I was
That's
like,
sweet.
oh,
You were
God,
like, oh, good God.
terrible. Yeah,
Well,
I've never
you
actually.
haven't boiled one.
I've never actually eaten a lobster.
You've not
so
boiled
really,
one
I don't
either,
know
right?
why I feel terrible.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I was thinking earlier.
I have cooked them, and I didn't. It was not a nice process.
Yeah, but you can just kill it, right?
Yeah.
You should just do that.
I did. I couldn't just.
I just want to say here, I don't have.
But that's not nice either.
I don't have any issues with vegan people, but I had like a stray thought that just rattled around my skull.
There's a
as I often
but.
do. Yeah. Well, earlier I thought, I bet if some vegans had their way, animals would be arrested for eating other animals. That they would be penalised for what they've done. So you would have like if a fox went into a barn and ate like a whole bunch of chickens, that'd be like a mass murderer, and they would put him in a little jail cell.
A little fox jail.
Yeah, and then I was thinking, what if they actually had like the death penalty for foxes, and then the fox gets like a last meal, and I went really far with it.
Funnily enough, by that it would be no longer be inhumane to eat that dead fox.
No,
because it's been tried and punished fairly.
Yeah.
You know, for its crimes it's committed, it's been punished.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these vegans eating fox.
Yeah, you're freegans. Yeah.
What a lovely piece of fox.
Yeah, like, well, he got his just desserts, didn't he?
Tasty.
Yeah, all like embracing a chicken as you eat the fox.
The chicken's just like pecking at its leg. Chickens are mental.
But you know what I mean?
They're
But
crazy.
I do feel that there's a sense of like not wanting any animal to harm any other animal, which I kind of get. I understand on a level, but it's like, you know, not wanting to watch the bit in the David Attenborough documentary where the killer whale jumps onto shore and like bites the head off a seal or whatever.
Yeah, I do wonder. There was a woman that used to come into a butchery that I worked in, and she wanted bones to make a broth for her vegan dog. You know.
Wow, that's kind of beautiful.
Yeah, because she didn't want to buy anything that had meat products in it. Of course, she was at the fucking butcher's, but it was like a
byproduct.
And it was a decent butcher. She was like, "Have you got any bones that you're throwing away?" And she'd take the bones, and then she'd boil them all up for a dog, and then pour all of that liquid onto the vegan biscuits for the dog. And I thought, I bet that dog is fucking miserable. Imagine how depressed that dog is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, although you got to give her a little bit of credit. Like,
oh no, she was nice as well. It was a really lovely.
Bless her for because I mean,
really cool.
There are some people straight up who just feed their dogs bugs now. You know, you can actually buy. I've seen it for sale. You've seen it for sale. You can buy. They just look like normal like dog pellets.
Oh, but they're bugs.
But they're crushed up insects. Yeah.
When do we get like insect cereal?
Yeah, what for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
tastes like golden nuggets, but it's made of cockroaches.
Yeah, the funny thing is, it's still such a novelty eating bugs. I think in certain areas of the world, that's not the case.
Oh no, it's normal in.
But
Asia,
yeah, exactly. But I think in the Western world, it's still like, whoa, you can get some barbecue crickets. It's funny how
cheese and onion flavored. What is it? Crickets. What else do you always see? What did I see? Scorpions. Yeah.
Deep fried or?
Scorpions. I saw this the other day. Scorpions. What am I thinking about? Oh, scorpion. Female scorpions like to be stung during intercourse and invite it.
Wow.
Sometimes they're getting these like hour long bloody stinging sessions.
Well, to be fair, that
they think that it might be like they're essentially testing out the poison to see what he's made of.
To see whether or not he's actually a good breeding. That's interesting. Although to be fair, that almost sounds tame in comparison to the praying mantis biting off its lover's head in the middle of
Absolutely, just devouring him. Yeah.
It is hard to picture a kind of. Sorry, I just wobbled the camera there.
Oh, I hope it. Well, we'll see.
But yeah,
it's just like your
eyes. It's just like Blair Witch Project.
It's like it's time anyway.
Is it time?
Yeah, it's time.
What was I going to say? Was I going to say something amusing though? I can't remember.
Yeah, something praying mantis.
Praying mantis. I've fucking lost my train of thought.
Well, here we go. Ever
climbed a mountain, ever caught a fish, ever looked to the stars and made a wish, ever shot a bow and arrow in the dead of night, ever read a map, ever flew a kite, ever put yourself to the test, do your best.
Very good.